All right, we'll start just the two of us and try not to let the conversation drift to books or anything like that.
No promises.
You had a topic, though.
Yes. It's kind of your topic because it's really your story to tell, but I think it's an interesting but also kind of scary, sad topic, which is scam calls and how prevalent they are
Relevant and prevalent.
in real estate.
Yeah, this morning, I was just anxious thinking about it this morning. I got a call from a local tree cutting service, and they had gotten a call from one of our listings that the owners said that because of the trees, they were getting a lot of complaints and it was hindering the sale, and they wanted all the trees cut down. They thought that was a weird call.
Yeah, thankfully they looked into that. And for context, it was definitely a listing that is like very manicured outside, very well maintained, and not somewhere where you would want the trees cut down, or even where I think trees would be allowed to cut.
No, I don't think so. And the trees were part of the appeal of the property. Mm-hmm. And that's why the tree company thought this is a weird call, and our sign was on the front. So they called us to make sure that, does this sound right? And the person claiming to be the owner was not the owner. It wasn't the right name. Never heard of that name before. And thank God they called to double check, mm-hmm. because that would have terrible repercussions. One, the tree company wouldn't have got paid.
No.
They could have got sued. The seller would have been devastated. It would have seriously negatively affected their house. They could have been in trouble with the city for cutting down city trees.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely scary out there. And we know our senior population is vulnerable to scams. So this just seems like one more thing that we have to be on the lookout for. But also we aren't sure what...
Yeah, what was the point? How was anyone going to make money from this? Were they just trying to sabotage something? Who knows? It was overall super weird.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things we deal with all the time.
So true. And sometimes it's not us directly, but we still have to be on the lookout for some scammers will take photos from realtor.ca and post them as if they are renting out a house and collect money for to hold someone's spot or a deposit or whatever. And it's not their house. It is a house for sale by the owner. And these people are just posing.
Yeah, don't trust third-party websites for real estate. Stick to realtor.ca or, Remax or the other reputable realty company websites or personal websites like ours, frederickhomes.com.
Yeah. And if you're looking at rentals, do not give any money without getting to see a house. Or if the photos look really professional and it's not a rental company or something like that, it's just a random person, who's getting professional photos taken to lease their house? Nobody.
Yeah, not in this area, that's for sure, because they're going like this. They don't need to bother.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's the same today. I got this phone call and it said no caller ID, and it goes in our profession, we have to answer our phone, and it goes through my head okay, is this going to be a scam? Is this going to be someone trying to sell me something? Or is this going to be, daycare or the hospital or the police? Those are all also...
Or creepy people.
In this case, it was somebody who, because of their line of work, had no caller ID. And they were a super wonderful person. But you never know. And it's always I remember there was one day where I got a really awful, creepy phone call from no caller ID. And then, that kind of went along the lines of wanting to see a house and then because you're really beautiful. And it's nobody says that. Just stop. And then within the hour, I got another no caller ID. And I'm do I answer that? And it was my kid's school. Literally within the hour.
Yeah, definitely taking advantage of the no caller ID thing. And it ruins it for the times that it's valid to have no caller ID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
Lots of weird phone calls. Also, we get so many calls trying to sell us things, all kinds of different services like virtual assistants and giving us leads and all. Oh my gosh. We get almost as many phone calls for those things as we do from our actual clients.
We were setting up the cameras today, and I got a text. So what did it say? From a random number. Oh, I deleted and blocked it. And it was hi, are you still working as an agent in the area? And I'm what area, because I don't know where your area code is. But, you know, could be someone moving, so you're weighing it. So you reply, yes, I am. Then you get the second message, and it was like, I'm looking for a place for my boss. And I'm like, Googling the area code. In Alabama, your boss in Alabama needs a place in Fredericton. Like, I don't think
they
so.
always do. You can tell it's like vague, almost seems like AI generated, but especially if they have a very common name, like, hi, this is John, and they don't specify an area, or sometimes they use weird terms for things that we don't typically use here, like people looking for villas.
Yeah.
People with a budget of $5 million.
Yeah, it's like nobody in this area needs $5 million. Take one look on the internet and it will tell you you can get your dream home here for a lot less than that. You don't need to throw around those kind of budgets because it's just not needed.
Yeah, exactly. So funny.
Yeah, it's a balance between some of them are so ridiculous. You're like, what is this? And then also it's just being unfortunate and annoying and scary sometimes, like this morning.
I also frequently get recruited to elite companies or the company, whatever that's supposed to mean. I get that all the time.
I'm already with a company.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that we've been talking about a lot lately is some of the questions that people ask that are valid. You can ask any question, but sometimes it's not as relevant as people think it is. A common one is hydro bills and your water and sewer bills. It's fair enough. You do want to know like what your utility costs are going to be, but those are things that definitely vary between people. Like some people want to keep their house super warm all winter, super cool all summer. They take a bath every day, so their bills are going to be higher, or they have pools and hot tubs that they run year round, things like that. That's one of those things where we encourage people, like, don't base your decision off of things like that.
It's especially weird when people ask, not weird, I should rephrase that. It's not very relevant when people ask about the water and sewer from property to property, because if you take 10 baths a day at your current place and you're planning on taking 10 baths a day at your next place, your water and sewer bill will probably be more like it is that you have that's specific for you.
Yeah.
What if the people, you know, if you're a 5 person household and you're moving into a place with 2 people, you can't expect your water bill to be the same as theirs was because you're adding 3 extra people.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think like I think for power, people are thinking, you know, maybe the bill being higher will indicate issues with insulation or something like that. I don't think a leak is going to show up in your hydro bill. I don't think that will be indicative. So I don't know. You see the logic there, but it's not, probably doesn't get the results people think it's going to get them. But it doesn't hurt to ask, because maybe you're coming from an apartment where you don't pay for your utilities and you just don't know what a power bill is going to be like, or your natural gas bill or something like that. So it does give you some idea. We do encourage, sometimes people will call NB Power, and if you give them the address and say you're looking at this house on realtor.ca, they give you an estimate of what the equalized billing will be based on the area and the size of the home. So it's not an exact amount, but it does give you some idea.
Yeah, and I think those are things to ask your realtor about, are the types of heat, the shape of the home. Like if you are in a house that has really vaulted ceilings, it's going to be harder to heat because heat rises. So those things are more important than maybe their specific bill. But those are all questions that we're happy to answer.
Yeah, for sure.
But they might not always be exactly what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. They might not indicate what you think they indicate.
Yeah.
So pay more attention to the age of the home, the style, roof shingles, things like that.
Yeah. Get an inspection. They'll tell you about the insulation. That will tell you what your heating bills will be more like.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like weird questions people have asked where like it's not even this case where we're like, oh, it's not that relevant, but we'll answer. But some people ask the most bizarre questions about the history of the home or the people who live there, or
yeah, a lot of times we're like, why are they moving? And sometimes we can tell you, but I always feel bad if the seller had said, especially if it's like a family separation or something and they are moving and they don't want to share that personal information, which is fine, but then the people buying are like, why are they moving? And you're like, oh, I can't say that. Then all it's like in their head, it's like red flags. But no, it's just that some things are private. Mm-hmm. If it was something terrible about the house, like, oh, actually it floods, we have to tell you that.
Yeah, for sure.
But if it's personal information, that's why it's private, because it's not relevant to the house.
Exactly.
And I always feel like that awkward, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't tell you this.
Yeah. Some people are like, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this. I'm like, ask me anything. If I'm not allowed to disclose certain things because of privacy matters, or it's, I don't know, a rude question, I'll tell you. But I will answer everything as honestly as I can. I have had some people, I was showing a house one time and it was really rough. The sellers weren't living there anymore, which was good because there were a lot of safety concerns. But at some point within the last 20 years, it looked like they'd done some work to the kitchen, like modernizing the kitchen. It wasn't modern by 2024 standards, but it was not as old as the original house. But there was so much other work to do. And the people tried to get me to ask why they invested their money into kitchen work instead of this other work. And I was like, I don't know the sellers. That's very rude to question their financial decisions. It was so awkward. But I'm not going to question these people about their logistics to the way they live their lives.
Yeah.
I will tell you my opinion of value and, you know, what the dangers are of this property, things like that. But
and like, you want to answer things for people. You want to investigate and find out everything you can. But sometimes you're like, that might not be relevant in this case.
And there are also times where, this is maybe kind of going on a tangent, but people want to try different strategies, ask different questions, or like be really aggressive in certain ways. And it's like, that doesn't always work out the way people want. Sometimes you need to foster a little bit of goodwill and not be aggressive in order for everybody to meet their goals, including you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's not about getting the last word in. It's about buying or selling your house.
Yeah, it's not a competition. It's a negotiation.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to put it.
I had something at a showing the other day, and it ended up not being a big deal and being quite funny. But when you're listing your home, there's things in your house that you don't see, like you're blind to. You know, sometimes it's scents, like the shoes at the doorway, or sometimes it's art that your kids put up that you're questioning. But I went to a house the other day and there was a gun safe, and my clients were first responders, and I didn't notice, like, I don't know much about guns. That's not something that would register in my head. And they noticed that the keys were in it, which I do know is illegal.
Like keys in the lock hanging.
Yeah, so that could be opened. And so after the showing, I messaged the other realtor and I was like, hey, just heads up, my clients happened to notice this. And she said that there were like trading cards in the safe. So she's like, don't worry, that was totally allowed. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's where you want to keep your precious items. But it made me think how many things are in our homes that we wouldn't think twice about. But somebody else coming in
might think it's suspicious or dangerous or...
Yeah, exactly. Like, what in my house could be thought of as dangerous?
And it's so hard to look at your own house through an outsider lens. And I mean, we try to do that for you, but...
Like other people often don't notice what's up in their house, we wouldn't notice what's up in ours, which is like why when I listed my home, it was not staged by me, but by you guys, because you don't see those things in your own places.
It's so true. And it's kind of related to like advice we always give. Don't be offended.
Yeah. And you know what? I remembered just now, people used to ask me about this when I sold my last house. There's no closet doors in the bedrooms. Where are the closet doors? Where are the closet doors? And now when I go into houses that don't have closet doors, people always comment, oh, it's so weird. Where are the closet doors? And when I moved in to my current house, we took off all the closet doors. Because not that there's anything wrong with closet doors. They can be nice. But when it's those bifold ones that are always coming off the track, and especially if you've got little kids, like, it's also inspiration or like motivation to keep your closet organized and nice. It becomes like a space in the room, like a built-in versus something that you can hide, so you keep it nicer. But when people kept asking about that, I'd be like, oh yeah, it didn't register to me that you need closet doors because I don't like closet doors. But yes, I do see why you could think that.
That's so funny because like now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, I do know that you don't keep the closet doors on, but I never noticed it before. And I don't notice it in other people's houses unless like the track is like really noticeable or like it looks like it was broken or something like that. But if it's like cleanly removed and everything, I don't notice it either.
Yeah, we have one closet door on our like main level that's still on, which is the hall closet, because that is something you want to hide. But it is the bane of my existence, the amount of times it's popping off the track and I'm the only one that can reach it and put it back on. So it's always my job. Nobody can get it. So whenever someone's like, oh, why do you think they have the closet doors off? I'm like, well, let me tell you, those things can be annoying.
I have seen some cool hacks. I don't know. It's on like 5 Minute Crafts on Facebook. So who knows if they're a good idea, but where people take the bifold doors and they brace them so they don't fold. They just open outward. Like, that is a great idea.
I was in a house. Where was I the other day? And it had a bifold door, but instead of it being like on one of those little dingy tracks, it was a bifold on half of a barn door. So it like closed on the barn,
like on the slide on the outside.
The slide on the outside, and it looked really cool, and you wouldn't be worried about it coming off the track because it was like really built on, not just like a little button latch. And it didn't take up as much room as a full barn door, but it was also more reliable than a
that is
bifold.
A great idea.
Made me think, in the future, will this work in my house?
Oh man, that is like one of the things about this job. I feel like I can't make any decisions about the style in my home because I see so many beautiful houses. And I'm like, wow, I really identify with like this really modern farmhouse style. And then I'm like, oh, actually, I really identify with like transitional or traditional or mid-century modern. Like a little, just pull
like
it all.
I want it all.
Yeah.
No, like we saw that house the other day and I was like, oh, I would move for this house. I love this house. And then Rebecca, my mom, was like, well, what about this feature of it? Like, wouldn't you not want that part? And I'm like, oh, you're right. Like,
it's
how
just
do
so
you
pretty.
choose? I feel like realtors must make the worst real estate clients because we've seen so many things.
Expectations just run really high.
Yeah, we have way too many ideas because you're like, well, I saw this thing one time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, people with hot water taps like above their
like the pot fillers.
I know somebody who put that over their like tea and coffee station, so it's instantly boiling water for tea. Like, sign me up.
And for the millennial dog mom and dads, I've seen people do it like over the pet station, so you can fill up your dog's water bowl. That's so cute.
Yeah, there's just so many cool ideas that I'm like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. Oh, I want that.
I've decided I probably won't be buying a house. I will have to build it so I can build all of these features in.
Yeah. That makes me think of something else. Cut that out. This is the issue with us doing a podcast without my mom is that we don't have any moderator because although when it's the three of us together, sometimes Rebecca says the most outrageous things.
We need to be her moderators, yes.
Yeah, but without her, we just start talking like we do all the time, which is all the time.
Which is all the time, yes. Sometimes on multiple different platforms.
Yes. It's funny when people work with us and we talk about like, oh, yeah, we work as a team of 3 and I have to be like, Rebecca and Marissa, and try and not be like, yeah, my best friend and my mom.
My bestie.
But then obviously when you work with clients, eventually they get to know that you are more than, just a co-workers
I was
or
gonna say a comrade, but I meant a colleague.
Yeah, more than colleagues. People think it's funny because when they email one of us, they're actually emailing all of us because we share an inbox, but it's because we do so much together all the time.
Yeah, it really makes our lives a lot easier, I think, to be so immersed in one another's business, to know that if somebody has a sick day or goes on vacation, like we're familiar with each other's clients and we all co-list all of our listings. And
yeah, like somebody might end up only working with me, but you guys know everything that's going on in their transactions on the off chance that, I can't be there or something. Yeah. I had an appointment the other day and I could not go, and I was the only person who had worked with this client. But then I said, hey, look, like Rebecca / my mom would be available and I won't be. Is that okay? And they were great with it. And it's kind of nice because then everyone gets coverage no matter what, especially in this market when, like, you know, we work jobs that the hours can be crazy because we're doing most of our work when people are off work. But that also means that, like, you know, we have lives ourselves. We've got doctor's appointments and hair appointments and kids or vets or all these things that we also need to take care of. So if we've got it booked and then a house pops up and we've got, you know, 36 hours to see it, there's also
somebody can cover it, usually. Yeah.
I don't know how we got here, but this podcast is brought to you by how Hannah and Marissa's brains work. Like, ding, ding,
I don't know
ding,
where
ding,
we
ding.
started. I don't know how we got here.
Well, that was fun. I guess our brains have taken us all on a ride, and
We'll talk to you soon.
get off on this stop.